today I will be talking about risk management and operational excellence in general, and my presentation, as Kirsty said, is titled How Can You Use Risk Management to Achieve Operational Excellence. To start you guys off, maybe a few words about myself and Otto Group. So basically, I joined Otto Group approximately 3.5 years ago, and since April of this year, I'm heading the risk management at my firm. The Otto Group itself is a German firm operating in the retail and services sector, and we are basically covering the whole value chain from sourcing, transportation, marketing to the financial services. We are active in more than 30 countries worldwide and have approximately 30 major company groups. You can see here our fiscal year ending end of February 2020 has generated revenues of approximately 14 billion euros. And as you can imagine, being in the e-commerce sector, we have highly profited from the COVID-19 pandemic as well due to the surge in online sales. So that's something, of course, which has driven our business, but with everything, uncertainties and the highly dynamic environment, this has also been exciting times for us in the last couple of years. As I've already said, we are active globally, but however, we are a German business. We have our roots in Germany and still have a very high focus on our German operations. So maybe some of you guys are familiar with some of our business activities in Europe. However, we are also active in the Americas, in Russia, and also to some extent in Asia. And as I've already said, our main focus, of course, is in the commerce and retail sector, but with our own transportation providers, for example, Hermes Group, and on the other hand, also with financial services, with EOS. Yeah, we are tackling very different activities, are exposed to a very distinct set of risks globally, and therefore, like I said, it is a very dynamic and exciting environment and times to be working in. Basically, when it comes to risk management and operational excellence, in my opinion, that's basically two sides of the same coin, as both of them are highly interconnected and linked with each other. So I will be trying to talk about both of them today. So for one, of course, how we actually can achieve operational excellence within risk management processes, methods, and tools. And on the other hand, also how risk management can be used to achieve operational excellence as well. That's something we have been working on at Otto Group for quite some time. But as with all major projects and activities, that's something that will still, let's say, lead us through the next couple of years with many initiatives, ideas to work on from now on. So to talk about the first thing, risk management and operational excellence, I would like to take you on a journey from the beginning of risk management in Otto Group to where we are now. And basically, I think it was the same situation as it is in many big corporations, either like in the past or also probably to some extent in the current setting. We had very diverse and different risk functions and management systems in place. So in our setting, for example, it was the very stereotypical risk management system, which rather had a focus on, let's say, strategic risks with a financial impact. Then, of course, a very important topic for all of us is compliance. So we have a very big organization throughout our group working on that topic, where the colleagues are especially looking at, of course, violations of regulations and the corresponding fines. And then, at least in our setting, that's probably a special function and setting, as we are family owned. We do have a distinct department who's just focusing on the reputational damage and potential risks in that matter, as we want to keep our company name as well as the owner's name out of the press in a negative way. Besides that, as you can imagine, there's many more risk-related systems as well. So we do have an internal control system, of course. Information security is, of course, very important for us as well. We have data protection as well, which I will be talking about in a bit. So some of them have been around for ages, and others have slowly been developed over the last couple of years. But in our setting, most of them were, let's say, working in their own sphere and not interacting much with each other. So that did pose, of course, a risk in itself, and was also a problem in our company setting, which, for example, came up when we were working on implementing the GDPR regulation for our company. So basically, of course, all those different risk functions had a look what it meant if we potentially breached the GDPR, and all of them based on their individual, let's say, methodologies, processes, assessment criteria, time schedules, and whatnot, came to different conclusions at the end of the day. So that was, of course, especially troublesome in regards to our risk reporting to the board of management, as well to our supervisory board, where basically some of the functions reported a very high risk in that matter, while others said, yeah, probably it's a bit less, it's only a minor risk, or at least a medium risk in their understanding. So, of course, that led to some questions, that led to some confusion on our end, or within our organization. And that basically also, let's say, led to a group project where we were working on more closely interlinking those different risk functions and risk management systems. So we basically started the journey around 2017 with a rough concept, which had been derived with external support. However, in contrast to, let's say, other big group projects, at least at that time, we chose a different approach. So for one, it was a more agile setting. So the first rough concept we have drafted was basically validated with different functions, with different stakeholders throughout our organization in workshop settings. So basically, we try to validate if that what we came up with was actually working and beneficial for our risk managers and owners in our organization. And we also use that to, of course, gain further insight and requirements for our future setting of risk management. So that's something we had been doing for quite some time, of course, with many benefits for all the participants. So for one, as I said, we gain further knowledge and ideas about how to move on. And on the other hand, of course, our risk managers in the organization got also a better overview of their individual risk situations and had a better feeling about taking mitigation measures in regards to their own specific risks. The second thing I want to mention as well is that our project setting from an organizational point of view was also different from other projects. So instead of having a core team and a steering committee to drive the project, we chose a community-based approach. So basically that meant that we invited different functions again and risk managers in general in our subsidiaries to take part in our project and use our group's intelligence to further develop, let's say, the key processes and parts of the future risk management solution. While for one, it was beneficial that all the knowledge came together, on the other hand, of course, that also meant that we could bundle our resources, which at the end of the day made our project a bit faster when it came to implementation, as well as helping us in, let's say, creating awareness and also getting acceptance from different stakeholders, as they were already involved in the process, had a say in everything, and also felt valued when it came to their opinion of how risk management should look like. So basically, it was two things that was very important in our setting, and at the end of the day, we reached our, let's say, current settings. So that's what you can see on the bottom part of the slide, which means that we have come now to an integrated view of risks and also to some extent of opportunities. And now we are looking at risks holistically and then are distinguishing the different impacts of risks. So for example, having a look at the financial impact, at the compliance impact, and at the reputational impact, for example. So that's something we have been doing. And on the other hand, I also, of course, want to talk about the main achievements. So how have we reached, or what have we reached in regards to risk management, and what does the next level look like? So basically, the first thing obviously is that we now do have a clear and transparent overview of our top risks. That is basically due to the fact that we now do have harmonized processes and a methodology. So that means there is a clear picture, not only, of course, of our group risks, but as well as in regards to our different business areas, processes, and entities. So there's lots of transparency, also lots of discussions, and lots of collaboration, which we are still, let's say, discussing in our group-wide risk management community. The other thing I want to talk about basically is titled More by Doing Less. So I mean, in the past, we have already done a lot when it came to risks, as we were having the different risk functions. We were approaching more or less the same stakeholders at different times, asking similar information. But at the end of the day, we couldn't really combine that into, let's say, one reporting. So that was the problem at the end of the day. And now we do have a very exhaustive list of risk information, which is regularly updated and also proactively shared through our group, which allows us to effectively better manage risks. So in our understanding and what we are seeing is that at the end of the day, one will always be the first to identify a new risk topic, to intensively think about how to tackle that. And if we are proactively sharing that information, it's easier and faster for other group companies and other risk managers to take care about that as well. So that's something we are seeing and which saves a lot of resources in our company setting. So therefore, we are achieving more by doing less at the end of the day. Another thing is having a more distinguished look of the risk impact and also the interdependence of risks. So as I've already said, we are covering the whole value chain within our organization in regards to retail. So therefore, of course, it's also very important to us to look at those interdependencies between risks. So for example, if our fulfillment and transportation business has problems, this of course also affects our e-commerce companies as well. So that's something where we have definitely become better and more transparent and are also exchanging those risk information more actively with each other. So therefore, the overall steering of risks over different business areas, entities, and processes has been leaner and better and more efficient as well. And then the last thing that is worthwhile mentioning is that also we have become better at prioritizing mitigation measures. So of course, also in the past, we have done something against the risks we have encountered. However, in every organization, there's limitation in regards to resources and you have to prioritize. And that's something where we had problems with as well, coming from the very diverse picture about risks. And now with the vast amount of data regarding risks we are having, we can leverage that to prioritize and track those mitigation measures more effectively, and also to allocate our resources more effectively in that matter. So at the end of the day, again, our, let's say, group's intelligence, our collaboration network, better data leads to the fact that we've become better in regards to mitigation measures as well. But as you can imagine, this is, let's say, or has been our first milestone. So as I said, we started in 2017. We came up with the first MVP, minimum viable product, in 2019, and that was not the end of our journey. So of course, we've been thinking about how to use risk management and develop risk management further. But sometimes, of course, external circumstances also help to drive specific projects and initiatives. So basically, at the beginning of this year, there was a new German legal requirement, which basically requires the management to continuously monitor developments that could put the continued existence of the legal entity at risk. And that's something that is new to us, at least to our company setting and legal structure. So basically what we are currently doing is defining and using relevant figures and KPIs for the Otto Group to determine the overall, let's say, risk tolerance and risk bearing capacity, and then use that figure to compare that to our overall or aggregated risk position, to therefore determine or being able to determine the threat to our continued existence. And that, of course, is something that is not only relevant for the group overall, but can also be used for our individual group companies. And last but not least, also to relevant business decisions in general. So basically, I mean, we are on a daily basis are taking decisions, but by using risk management and the intensive risk information we are collecting and updating, we can take an even more or better, a more informed or better, let's say, decision by taking all those information into account. So we are doing that by comparing different criteria, doing different simulations, and therefore are distinguishing, for example, what our let's say liquidity requirements might be and whatsoever. So therefore we are also getting better at steering our organization. So that basically means for us, by leveraging the benefits of risk management, we can soundly take decisions more effectively and efficiently, and yeah, are at a great next level for risk management in that matter, but still have lots to do. But I hope I could give you a short insight of how we are doing risk management, how we, let's say, connect that to operational excellence. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions.